You are listening to Zen and the Art of Triathlon.
Well, hey there, all you tri freaks and geeks, and welcome to another great episode of Zen and the Art of Triathlon, the podcast where we help you go longer in ultra endurance sports. All right, let's get started with today's episode. I'm super excited. We have the king of ultra today, Rob Gray, just won Ultraman, I almost said Ironman, Ultraman Florida. And that is a really cool guest because he goes into detail about how he sets up his bike, how he paced himself, and also the nutrition end of things. And he's big into manipulating diet and metabolism so that you get the most energy. And this stuff works. It's really cool. So I'm super excited to bring you this guest. And let's see, I'm in the training cave looking at my time trial bike, about to get on it here in just a little bit and knock out another workout because I'm officially signed up for a big race coming up in October, and I'll tell you about that at the tail end of the news. Here we go. All right, Ironman Canada just added a 70.3 version of the race. Basically the same day, I believe. It's Sunday, July 24th, a half Ironman in Whistler. So that's the west coast of Canada. And yeah, that was just released in the news just a few days ago. So that's a big deal. Trying to combine a full and a half in the same event might be pretty smart. It seems like they do that kind of here and there. And I agree. Be very cool to do the 70.3, check out a race, and then decide if you want to do the full distance or not. Very, very cool. All right. If you want to go faster in that race, then you might want to check out Flow's new wheels, FLO. A long time ago, when they first came out, they were a guest on the show. I thought it was really interesting, a small company, and how they were getting started in triathlon and road cycling. And they actually have upgraded their wheels, which are really in high demand because they're a really good price, to be full carbon fairing instead of aluminum brake track and then carbon fairing. These are full carbon clinchers and structural carbon instead of just the fairing bit wrapping around the spokes. The spokes actually wire into the carbon like Zips and NVs do. Which actually adds a little bit of suspension to your ride. People never talk about that, but I was at a one-on-one talk with some Zip people, years ago, and they were talking about how you can actually, if you use structural carbon, it actually improves the ride of your wheels a little bit. And so Flow is going there, and also they did tons of aero testing. This is a really cool thing. They put a yaw meter on the front of the bike and then rode at least Ironman Arizona, maybe some other big bike courses, and saw where the wind was coming from the most and then designed the wheels around that. And turns out it's mostly between 10 degrees yaw or less. I don't know. I have to go check out their website. FLO is where you find them at. All right, and Canyon just came out with their new tri-bike, the Speed Max SL6 or SLX, I forgot what it's called. But anyway, it's called the Speed Max. And it's, it fits me perfectly. I want one so badly. And it's an incredible price for what you get. And it's not available in the USA. I'm like, dang it. But I like it a lot because the bento box, the hydration, and the computer mount for out front is all streamlined, all in one nice little package running down the body of the front of the bike. And it's got aerodynamic brake covers. It's just everything all combined into one nice little package. And it's a good price. So when will they ship to the United States? I don't know. But, oh well, I guess we'll see. Wait and see. And speaking of Canyon, their big-time triathlete, Jan Frodeno, has had a calf tear, and so he's injured and out of racing for a little while. It's a little bit hard to tell how long. I like Frodeno a lot because he's really tall, and he rides a canyon, which fits a really tall person, so I was all in on this. I'm like, if somebody that's 6'3" can fit and win Kona on this bike, then I should get this bike and have nothing ever to complain about. If I'm not winning Kona, then it's all my fault. Eliminate the variables, right? So that's the news on Jan, and it looks like he'll be fine pretty soon, and we'll see him around the bend and probably winning another $1 million in the Triple Crown again. Or no, he didn't win it this year. That was the female that won that. And maybe this year he'll win it. But winning Kona probably again. All right, let's go ahead and get on a little bit of personal news. My injuries are getting better. Left arm is almost as strong as my right, but still not there. I fell down and broke my arm. This genius move. It also messed up my elbow joint really bad. I still can't straighten out my arm. Probably never will. And then I got plantar fasciitis and a heel spur. Plantar fasciitis a little bit in both feet and a heel spur in my left foot, and that is improving greatly. I'm fixing that by running very slowly when I do run, and just letting things kind of heal up and just not running fast. Every time I run fast, it hurts worse the next day. So just holding back, running like 10-minute miles, right around there, and starting off running slightly uphill. Running downhill jams my heel into the ground, especially if I'm running with my giant crazy dog, and he pulls me along and slams my heel into the ground. And let's see, did a little local 5K for charity, and it was small, and it was plenty of people, but apparently as you get older, fewer and fewer older people run. And I got first in my age group with a 32-minute 5K, which just goes to show that you can't win unless you show up. So show up, man. You never know who's not going to show up, and then you win just by being there. It's pretty cool. And the final bit of triathlon news is that there's a cool race going on in October that I managed to sneak into. I'm super excited about this. It is Ultraman. So it's a 21-mile swim from Catalina Island off the coast of California to Santa Barbara, North LA, that area. And that in itself is a big deal. And then a 400-mile bike ride, pretty much along the same course as the Furnace Creek 508, if you listen to Vinny Tortorich, and then that he's famous for. And so basically a 400-mile bike ride. And then you end up in Death Valley at Badwater, California. Is Badwater in California? Badwater. And then you run the Badwater 135 course up to the trailhead to Mount Whitney, up to, Death Valley's below sea level, and Badwater, or Mount Whitney Portal is what they call. Trailhead is at 8,000 something feet elevation. And this is all continuous, nonstop. You sleep when you want, self-supported with crew and all that. And I'm really, really excited about it. They're only taking 20 people, and I managed to get snuck in there. And they said I had pretty good swim credentials, so that'll help me. But man, when we get to the run, we're going to have an interesting time. That's going to be, I don't think anybody's going to be running very well by the end of that. So it'll just, it'll be what it is. It is what it is. And it'll be a lot of fun. We're talking about 5 days continuous, biking through the night, taking naps and stuff like that. This is one of those things where actually the slower you go, probably the better you'll do. And the faster you go, probably the bigger risk for complete exhaustion, blowing up, and wrecking, and crashing, and disaster, and such. So actually you got to go pretty slow and just enjoy it, which would be a lot of fun. And I was just listening to an interview with Max King, and he said that when stuff starts getting ugly and bonkish, that there's two types of personalities. There's those that get frustrated and angry, and then there's those that get funny and just laugh about the whole thing and just keep on plugging along in a good mood. And that's the way he is, and that's the way I am too, which is a good thing because I'm going to need help getting this done. I am under no delusion whatsoever that I could do this by myself. I've already asked my buddy Morgan, and he wants to be crew chief. And he's really, really excited about it. And he mentioned it to somebody else at a party he was at. And this other guy said, oh, he wants to pitch in too and help out with crewing or supporting. And that's where we're at. I'm now recruiting people to help Team ZenTri because this will definitely be a team effort to do Uberman. We are very lucky to be selected to be in this thing. And we're going to start training for it. I'll bring you on the podcast all kinds of training tips and info and status as I go along. For example, I can tell you it really lit a fire under my ass to start training again with some more volume. I have the new tattoo, which is pretty substantial, and I can't swim with it at the moment, but that's I'm a week through 2 weeks of no swimming, and then we'll start swimming again. And just lots of easy volume, just day after day after day after day of bike and run and bike and run and bike and run, and 2-a-days, and not going too hard, just kind of starting to put in the volume and not letting it phase me, working on fueling, just everything. So I'm really, really excited. Need to keep this a new segment. But let us pause for some coffee. Our Keurig, non-sponsor. I might have to turn this podcast to be curse-friendly because it's going to get ugly as we go into this thing. And we'll see if I can actually swing it. I may not be able to do it because it's going to take a lot of vacation time, and I'm doing Ironman Canada this summer. And that's going to take vacation time. And I was just informed yesterday that I need to take off extra vacation time because Kai wants to go do nationals for kids triathlon in Ohio. So now we're taking an extra couple of days to go to Ohio and back. So we'll see. But I'm going to start a page, I believe, for Uberman and start collecting names and posting links and such. If you go to zentriathlon.com, look at the top, and when you see an Uberman link at the top of it, you'll know that it's live and we can start working on stuff. So yeah, I'll need support. I might sell t-shirts that say ZenTriathlon or ZenTri, and then in cursive underneath, free range humans. Because that's what my Twitter tag says on there as my location or my bio. It just says free range human. But anyway, that's that. We'll just kind of see where that goes. I'm really excited about it. It may be too big of a thing to do this year, but it may not be. I'm just going to start working that way and kind of see where things go. And hold on loosely and don't get rope burn. Trying to hold on too tight to a goal. And let's go ahead and get started with our interview with Rob Gray. I'm really excited to bring this to you. Again, he won Ultraman Florida. Really cool metabolism info in here. And after his interview, we need to read an email that he sent in about UCAN and resistance start. It's really detailed, and I'll read it to you here in a second. But let's go ahead and get started with Rob. Here we go.
Welcome to the next level.
Hey, Brett.
Hey, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can. Yeah, just I tried to call you and it just went to like some weird Skype voicemail or something. But
that's all right.
We have liftoff now.
Yes, we have contact. How's it going?
Yeah.
You want to go ahead and
pretty
get started?
Good. Sure.
All right. I am here with Rob Gray, the 2016 Ultraman Florida champion, or is it world champion? How do we say it? Do you even know?
No, it's not. It's not world champion, not yet. It's just the Florida, just the Ultraman Florida champion.
Oh, yeah. So, are you going to go to Ultraman Hawaii?
Yeah, that's the goal. That's actually the reason I did Ultraman Florida, is to get into Hawaii. You have to have done another Ultraman, and Ultraman Canada was the first one on my list, but that's no longer an Ultraman branded event.
Right.
So yeah, Florida was just the easiest to get to, and unfortunately, it meant training over the Colorado winter. But yeah, that's kind of the goal of why I went there, and I also just wanted to experience the race distance, which was, I'm pretty glad I did that now, because it was very different to other races I've done.
So for people that don't know, and that would be new listeners to this episode, an Ultraman is a 10K swim, and then in miles, I know it's a 90-something mile bike ride on day one. How far is that in kilos?
It's a good question. Having grown up with the metric system, I should actually know that. It's about 100. I think it's 145 Ks.
And then a day. So that's day one, and then day two is. I know it kind of varies a little bit, but it's a 170 mile plus bike ride.
Yeah, which is that's 275 Ks. I do know that for some reason.
And then on day three, you wake up again and do an ultra marathon, a double marathon.
Yeah, double marathon. Yeah, and that's a long way whether you use metric or imperial. It's it's equally as long. It's a tough run.
So, I want people to, if they want to find out more about your backstory, you've actually been on a lot of podcasts lately. I looked it up. It's on I Am Talk. You've been on episode 501 and 504. That's before and after Florida. And then also there's a thread that you've led on slowtwitch.com in the forums on Ask Me Anything about Ultraman Florida, which is an honor, right, to be able to say, to do an AMA thread on Slow Twitch.
It is.
Yeah. So lots of information in there on anything that we don't cover in this interview. But I wanted to start off with, this was your first ever Ultraman, and you won it.
Yeah. I was pretty surprised. Going in, I was the goal was obviously just to experience the distance. I think one of the side effects of having to train in winter is that to actually get any training stimulus, I had to do most of my training at pretty high intensity, just because I couldn't go out and do like a 4-hour run, and I couldn't go outside and do 8 hours on the bike. I did most of my training indoors, which meant the intensity was higher, which therefore meant I was naturally comfortable at going pretty fast, which on race day turned out to be an advantage actually.
Yeah, I think I do a lot of training indoors too. I've got a son that I need to be around the house to help out, and I've migrated to doing a lot of time on the trainer, on the bike, and it is crazy effective compared to riding outdoors. But I think that riding the bike indoors is probably 1 hour of that is probably worth about an hour, and maybe outside be more.
Yeah,
it's pretty nuts.
I agree. You got no stoplights, you got no downhills where you can just coast. It's just like every minute you're on there is productive, and I certainly find if you're a time crunched athlete, if you can get your head around being on a trainer, and it can be done. It's super productive, and will definitely help you get the results in my opinion.
Yeah, well, to give people a background on your sports history, you've actually qualified for Kona more than once or twice, or how many times?
4 times. So I've done Kona the past 3 years, and then I qualified again at Ironman Arizona at the end of last year, but I didn't take the slot, so I made someone else happy by giving up my slot.
Those of us that want to go, thank you.
This guy was over the moon. His whole family was high-fiving me, and it actually felt much better than taking it myself. So
you've been plenty.
Yeah,
you can always go back.
I thought 2 trips to Hawaii with like a month apart would just be too much. Just from it's a lot of travel time. It's also just financially, it's pretty prohibitive. So Yeah, it would give me focus. This allows me to just purely focus on Ultraman Hawaii in November,
Right.
and I am doing Boulder Ironman in August. So if I do change my mind, I've got another shot at it. But I don't think I'll take that either if I qualify.
Right. And let's see, how you've got a distinctive accent, but it's not from one specific place. You've kind of lived different places. So where did you grow up and then move to, and where have you lived?
Yeah, my accent always confuses people. It's depending on where I am, they either think I'm Australian or British or Kiwi, but I'm actually a South African.
Hmm.
And so that's where I grew up. And when I was 24, I moved to the UK and I lived just outside London for 10 years. And then I moved to California. I was in California for I think 5 years, and then I've been in Boulder, Colorado for about 6 months now.
So how did you get an opportunity to move to Boulder? Just a job opportunity opened up and you jumped on it, or your company moved you there on purpose, or what?
No, they did move me there, but I kind of just made the justification to do that. The San Francisco Bay Area is increasingly difficult to live in long term.
Uh-huh.
There's all these big tech companies like Apple, Google, Facebook, and many others, and it just gets pretty congested. It's pretty expensive,
Right.
and I actually work at Google, and I wanted to move to a different Google office, and the office in Boulder is pretty big and growing, and it's kind of an exciting place to be, and
Yeah.
there are actually people that I do need to work with there, so it actually makes it made sense, and it was just good timing that they fortunately allowed me to do that, so
Right.
that
Yeah.
was success.
It's interesting. I've done some studying on cities in the United States, and university towns are fantastic places to live. They have the highest quality of life
Yeah.
in the United States, and it's because you get the small town living, but because it's a university town, you have a lot more uh, things to do and education and just stimulus than a town if it didn't have a university in it that was the exact same size. And then you're only like, how far is Boulder from Denver anyway? So if you need to go to a big city for something, you can just hop
Yeah,
on over
it's
to Denver.
it's 45 minutes away.
Yeah.
But honestly, with it's not like I've got two young kids, 4 and 2, and it's not like I go out clubbing anymore or anything like that. So
Yeah.
I feel like it's a result if I can get to go out to dinner like once a month. That's like a huge social result for me.
Yeah.
And Boulder's great. Like the downtown Boulder's awesome. There's great places to eat.
Hmm.
There's a bunch of microbreweries around, and it's for the sort of thing that I like doing. It's absolutely perfect, and everything's kind of in one street or close by. So everything's pretty accessible, easy to get to, and it's fun. And as you say, the student element just makes it a pretty fun place. And of course, it's a great place to train, and the community of athletes is just so strong. There's always people that push you to a new level, and
Yeah.
there's a lot of people better than me, and it's just great to be in that community.
Well, cool. I've always talked about how and noticed how really good triathletes and endurance athletes typically grow up playing something similar to soccer, basketball, football. That way they're on the field running all over the place, and then they transfer over to doing triathlon as an adult, and they've got all those miles under their legs. And did you grow up playing something like rugby or cricket? Or
I grew up. I played rugby, cricket, soccer, water polo.
oh, water polo, really? Oh,
Yeah, you know
interesting.
what? That's actually been the biggest help to like
Uh-huh.
these big Ironman mass starts is kind of like being in a water polo match.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
I would have done that too.
that
My high school didn't
contact.
have a team, so I didn't get the chance. I would have loved it.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it just gets you comfortable with being in a pretty rough contact, being
Uh-huh.
pushed underwater, that type of thing. I actually did have one Ironman. I did Los Cabos in I think it was 2013, and some guy like we were like halfway through the swim, and when you're getting pushed between two people. There's a guy on my right and a guy on my left, and they were getting closer and closer to each other, and I was in the middle,
Uh-huh.
and there was nowhere I could go, so we kind of all collided, and one guy actually got up and he stopped and he grabbed me and he pushed my head under the water and held me under. which is kind of crazy. I've never had that happen before, but that was kind of like playing in a water polo match, and it enabled me to not freak out too much and just continue. But yeah, that's that water polo background did actually stand me in good stead for strange situations like that crop out every now and again.
Yeah, my friends and I have an older brother that used to beat on me sufficiently. And we would all go to the neighborhood pool. We just lived at the neighborhood pool, and we would play this game called Sharks and Minnows and try to cross the deep end of the pool without a shark grabbing you. And they would wrestle you to the top. So you're basically doing underwater combat, punching and kicking. Because if they would put you in a headlock underwater and try to drag you to the surface. And then if they tap you on your head when you're at the surface, now you're a shark, right? And that was like the best game as a kid. And then an adult friend and I tried to play it the other day, and we about died because we're nowhere near as flexible as we used to be. And when we punch and kick now, you can really hurt each other. But yeah, I grew up doing that too, and also basketball, which is a real physical game. A lot of elbowing and pushing and shoving around, and when you combine the two, you pretty much end up with water polo.
Yeah, that's true. It is.
Yeah, I would have loved to have played that. We just never had the chance. So I got a question for you about Ultraman. Do you think that Ultraman is becoming the new Iron Man? And what I mean by that is so many people now have done Ironmans or something similar, and the Ultraman is now, I think a lot of people might be interested in it, especially when we go into what you said in an interview, that you're training for an Ultraman. And I've done a self-supported one, and my experience was the same. Is my training was actually somewhat easier than for an Ironman, or less in a way, like less volume.
Yeah.
And I found that to actually be better. So how's your feelings on Ultraman and it coming on the scene and people talking about it all the time?
Yeah, I think for the people that that did Ironman, or they maybe done several Ironmans for the challenge of it, and they're no longer challenged purely by the distance, and they want something that kind of puts them out of their comfort zone. I think Ultraman is a logical next step for them. Others do. They get into single sport long events like distance, like marathon swims or ultra marathons, or like doing Race Across America or something on the bike. But to get a triathlon that takes it to the next level, I think Ultraman's a good next step. You're doing these Deca-mans where you like doing 10 Ironmans back to back. That's probably a bit extreme for normal people. Mm-hmm. But yeah, the training was actually surprisingly. It's actually less than I've done for most Ironmans, and most of that was because I was trying to train over the winter. I think I would have liked to do more, but I survived and did pretty well on less training. And for swimming, it was about the same. The only thing different, I did a few big swim days where I try to do more distance, but still the longest swim I had was 7 Ks. Bike wise, no real longer rides than for Ironman. Maybe an hour or so longer. Like for Ironman, I do my long training rides are 45 hours, and this I did 5 to 6 hours, so not really that much different.
Right.
The big difference was on the run. Then the structure of my run training. For Ironman, I'll do mainly one long run a week, or long run and kind of like a medium run. So maybe the long run's 20 miles, and then on like a Saturday, and I do a shorter run on a Tuesday that's maybe 15 miles or something like that. With Ultraman, I structured the run so I do big back-to-back days. So that would be like a Friday I would do 19 or 20 miles, and then the Saturday I'd do 28 miles. And I was trying to build up to 20 and 30, and I just didn't have a weather opportunity to do that, where I actually had that time. But that was, it was pretty much there, like 20 and 28. Mm-hmm. And then there's much more recovery in between. So I would say I wouldn't run either side of that double day. And then the other runs during the week were short, like 8 to 10 miles, and with a little bit more intensity in there. Yeah. So I felt the structure was very different for running for Ironman and Ultraman, but everything else was pretty much the same.
Yeah, my strategy was, I thought my run is just average to weak compared to my swim and my bike, right? So I decided that I was just not going to worry about swimming all that much. And because I grew up swimming on swim teams. So I was like, I'm not going to worry about that all that much. And my run actually hinged on being a better cyclist so that the bike didn't bother me as much. And I went out and really upped my game on the bike and just did lots and lots of bike mileage so that my run, and I've done ultra marathons on the side, like along with triathlon training. Over the years, I've done some 50 milers and 100 miler.
Yeah.
And so I was like, well, I know when it starts to suck how to keep going.
Yeah.
But so that won't be new territory for me. But it'll suck a whole lot less if that bike didn't phase me as much. So I went out and biked like crazy. And that ended up being like really cool. But what I want to say where I found it was similar to what you're saying is, yeah, I did bigger days, but then more rest and to recover from it. Is that what you're saying? Kind of what you did was just do a longer string of stuff and then more rest?
So yeah, particularly on the run, you're more in a short space of time, and then more rest in between. And the bike, like so, those rest days when I wasn't running, I was doing big bike workouts, and I would just try and adapt it to how I felt. So I'd listen to my body quite a bit, and if I wasn't feeling good, I just wouldn't work out at all, or I just cut it short. And I think that's the key thing, is just being flexible. You can't download a program and stick to it for something like Ultraman, because every day the decision of how to train is affected by how you feel. And some days I feel great, and some days I wouldn't. But I really agree with you about being able to really nail the bike. It makes a huge difference. Like when I went on to day 3 for this run, I wasn't really tired. I didn't have sore legs, even though I'd done 170 miles of biking the day before and 90 miles the day before that. It was, I felt like my strength on the bike meant I could start day 3 relatively fresh, actually.
Yeah, and I think Ultraman it was my first opportunity. It's like triathlon's first version of a stage race. And so you really get to show off this fourth discipline that no one talks about and how good you are at it, and it's recovery. How you notice the more you do triathlon training, the less sore you get. Day after day after day. Like over the years, you learn how to keep from getting sore. And so I saw in your posts how on Slow Twitch forums, your recovery strategies with your compression boots that you got into immediately, and like in the van on the way back to your hotel, you were already in those things. And then how to eat the nights between stages. And I think for those of us that we may not be like incredibly fast, but man, we just don't seem to get sore from stuff as much as some other people. This a day after day stage race is something where you could really clean up, right?
The recovery is pretty interesting, because it's a huge part of the strategy of a stage race like this, and just kind of getting the calories down after each day, getting them in a timely manner, making sure you just stay off your feet, and also just the time that you take in actually doing the event. There's kind of this trade-off of how hard do you go? If you ride faster, you're going to get to the end sooner and have a better recovery window, but you don't want to completely smoke yourself so that it makes it more difficult to recover. So it's kind of this fine balance of, you want to ride hard enough to get a really good gap on the other guys in terms of recovery, but you don't want to smoke yourself. And I found that was, even though I was totally inexperienced at Ultraman, I guessed what I should do, and I think I got that right on this first time, which I was pretty lucky with.
Yeah, you definitely did. And how I read something where you said that you wanted to do Ultraman actually because it kind of scared you a little bit. I guess that made it interesting enough because you were kind of going into unknown territory.
Yeah, but with Ironman, I've done 11 Ironmans, and the only thing that kind of really motivates me to improve is trying to get faster at that distance. But it doesn't scare me like my very first Ironman did. Like the first Ironman, I had no idea if I could actually finish it, if I could do the distance. Now I know I can do the distance, just a question of how quick it's going to be. And it was the same with Ultraman. Like I had no idea whether I could, even each day, like swimming. I know for you, swimming 10K is probably not a big deal, but I've swum 10Ks once in my life before in open water.
Yeah,
and I didn't know if I could do it, and it turns out it wasn't a big deal at all. But it was a big unknown for me, just that swim. And then 171 miles on the bike. I think before that, my longest ride had been maybe 120 or 130 or something like that.
Yeah.
So that was kind of an unknown, but I felt like it was a comfortable unknown. And then the run was a total unknown. I think I've run a 50K race before, which is 32 miles, but nothing further than that. So that I was in uncharted territory once I went past 32 miles.
Right.
And now that I've finished it, I don't have that that sort of apprehension about the overall distance. But before the race, I absolutely did, and that was a huge motivator to it got me out of my comfort zone, and it kind of made me push myself beyond what I was actually comfortable with, and that's pretty motivating to have that fear driving you.
Yeah, I was terrified of the run because I knew I could handle the swim. The bike was going to be a little bit weird because I'd done probably 120. But then running after that, I was like, oh my God, I have no idea, what that's going to feel like what I'm going to feel like by that day. So what that did was it scared me into training better.
Yeah. Yeah.
I realized my training for trying to do an Ultraman was the training I should have been doing for an Ironman.
Yeah.
It scared me sufficiently. I was like, oh, this is what would get me better results in Ironman for sure. Because I'm floating around like I get 11 hours is probably my best in an Ironman. I forgot exactly what it is, but I always mess up the nutrition. I always about halfway through the run get some kind of stomach issue, and like a dummy, I'm a bigger guy, so I keep signing up for hot races because I live here in Texas, which just melt me down. Like Ironman Texas is like the worst one to sign up for. But I want to talk to you about that other thing that you are becoming well known for, which is the whole metabolic nutrition.
Yeah.
And this is fascinating. You years ago, before this became the topic du jour that's going on right now, you started working on this, figuring out how to increase. Were you trying to figure out how to increase your fat burning, or how to decrease your insulin resistance, or what exactly led you to getting your own metabolic cart?
Yeah. So what led me to getting that was I wanted to figure out pacing. That was the thing. So it wasn't about I want to burn more fat, or I want to burn less carbohydrate. It was I want to just know that when I'm riding at this effort, or this range of effort. So I would take Ironman effort, maybe a little bit below, a little bit above. With this range of effort, what am I actually burning? So that I know with my nutrition strategy if I'm
that strategy,
I'm going to fall short or not. And that's how it started.
How many calories to take in? Because at certain paces, right? Which that's been around for quite a while. And even like your Garmin watch will say you burn this many calories, right? So then you can say, I need to eat because I burned so. That's one way to race, or one way to fuel, is for your watch to tell you about how many calories you burned.
Although those Garmin algorithms are kind of just it's kind of like an estimate or a guess, and that the benefit of a metabolic cart is it tells you not only your total calories pretty precisely, but how much is coming from fat and how much is coming from carbohydrate.
Right.
And then of course the goal is to you're never going to replace the total amount of carbohydrate that you're burning, but you want to limit that so that the delta between what you're burning and what you're taking in is as low as possible, so that you can last the whole Ironman without fully depleting your glycogen or carbohydrate stores.
Now, did you know that going into this when you first started out, or did you kind of discover that after using the cart and testing yourself for a while? I mean, like you could kind of find out your needs, but then after a while figure out that your needs actually change based on how you've been eating.
Yeah, exactly. So the first test I ever did, I just found a local guy that did VO2 testing because I knew the equipment that I needed.
Uh-huh.
And I went and did the test, and I kind of defined my own protocol for specifically for Ironman, and that was insightful. But I knew that various other things could affect your amount of fat versus carbohydrate utilization. So that led to me getting my own metabolic cart, so I could test under a variety of conditions. So I've tested myself hundreds of times on being completely carbohydrate depleted, on a super high fat diet, on a normal diet, on a very high carbohydrate diet. And your day-to-day diet actually influences your fat burning significantly. And my goal was really to try to find this utopia where you're not completely depleted, but your fat burning's still good enough to get you through an Ironman as fast as possible. And that's the key thing for me is I want to focus on performance. There's no prizes for who burns the most fat at the end of the race. It's whoever's the fastest.
Right.
And so I wanted to, carbohydrate without a doubt enables you to exercise at a higher intensity. The question is that necessary to be at that higher intensity for to do well in an Ironman? So those are the things I've been experimenting with. Was the various intensities combined with diet gives you this amount of fat versus carb that you use at various efforts. And people's definitions are all different, right? So so someone says high performance or high intensity. For one guy, that could be he's absolutely redlining it. That's like his 5-minute best effort. Whereas for someone else, it could be the pace they ride an Ironman at, and it feels kind of uncomfortable, but they call that high intensity. So there's this whole, when people say you need carbohydrate for high intensity, I'm talking like if you're riding at your threshold or working out above your threshold, that's when you really need to have sufficient carbohydrate stores.
Right.
And for the paces that many people ride an Ironman at, relatively slowly, they don't need as much carbohydrate as they think they do.
Yeah, typical Ironman pace on the bike it kind of depends on how competitive you are or how much experience you've got, but it could be anywhere from low 70% to 80-something% of your hour threshold.
Yeah.
So it's like 75% of what you could do for an hour. So that's pretty low.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Tell somebody to go out for a jog, what they could do for an hour at their fastest, take 25%.
So at that effort, so at like 70% FTP, so 70% of threshold, if I've been on like a super high fat diet, I'm burning mostly fat at that sort of intensity, and I'm only burning maybe 100 to 200 calories of carbohydrate per hour. However, to be competitive, I'm normally riding it closer to 80% of threshold, in which case it ramps up quite a bit. So I'm burning maybe through anywhere from 500, around about, let's say 500 carbohydrate calories per hour, and with the rest coming maybe 600 or 700 coming from fat. But if I approach threshold, you're almost going to 90% carbohydrates. You're going from like 400 or 500 carbohydrate calories per hour to almost 1,000, and that's I think that's where people really impact their run, is that they have these surges, and although it feels that much more difficult, just going from like 80% to 90%, they can really start eating into those glycogen stores when they do that.
Yeah. So on that, on your other interviews, you've talked about being metabolically flexible. Metabolic flexibility is what you call it, and you can manipulate your fat burning by your recent diet. I guess is a way to phrase it. Let me tell you from what the sessions that you've talked about and what I've interpreted, and you can tell me where I'm wrong. So you can go high fat, very low carb, and turn on your fat burning. And but how long does that last? Because you say you only do that sometimes. So am I wrong about that, or does it last like a week, or just some days, or can you ruin it by eating some sugary stuff, or what? How long does it last for?
So you can ruin it by eating sugary stuff. So it'll, like, as long as you continue with a high fat, low carb diet, your fat burning will be pretty good. And also for people just starting off, if someone's like very, very carbohydrate dependent, they can go through this pretty painful process of high fat, low carb and really get rid of that carbohydrate dependence. But it takes maybe 14 days or more for that to actually kick in and for you to feel energetic on that type of diet. But then, the question, and this is a very good question. So let's say you in this very high fat burning state, you're probably not going to be in the best high performance state. So you got to start eating some carbohydrate to get into that high performance state for a race. This is the golden question. So you start eating carbohydrate, how long before you actually start impacting it? And Yeah, that's a good question. I think the experiments that I've done. So let's say I eat, maybe during a very restrictive phase, I'm eating maybe 50 grams of carbohydrate a day, and then I start before a race. Let's say I start eating 300 grams per day, or maybe more than that. The answer based on my test is maybe 1 to 2 days. You still have pretty good fat burning. It's not as good as when you're completely depleted, but at least you've stocked up your glycogen stores a bit. You're in a good enough fat burning state to perform well without completely running out. So your fat burning is good enough for racing. The thing that really impacts it is if you eat something that's super high sugar just before your race, like within the hours before your race. So I like to, if you eat carbohydrate the day before, there's enough time for that insulin reaction to happen. It'll be stored as glycogen, and then the next day you'll still be in a pretty good fat burning state. It's good enough for racing. But then if you go and have you're going down like 3 gels an hour before your race, then you're going to start impacting that fat burning ability. But if you wait, like once you start exercising, that insulin response is actually subdued. So what I do is once I start racing, then it's like the floodgates open. I just take as much carbohydrate as I can without impacting my GI system. And based on my test, like I've done some super interesting tests where I start off I eat a high fat breakfast, for example, and that keeps you in that good fat burning state. And then you start your workout, and 20 or 30 minutes in, I'll eat something like an excessive amount of carbohydrate, like 500 calories per hour, and it actually makes no difference to the fat burning at all. So I would take in 500 calories in an hour, and I would test again like an hour later, still riding at, say, Ironman effort, and it hasn't impacted the fat burning ability at all. I was
suspicious of that. I thought that might be the case because I've tried that and I felt that that's what it was doing. You eat something sugary and then 20 minutes later go to race a 5K, you're gonna implode because the blood sugar reactions. That's perfectly timed for you to you've hit that trough, right? But that's exactly what I was thinking. Was you get started during a workout and you get about 20-30 minutes in, and then your body's ready to accept and put sugar in the right place, then you can carb along, and it's a totally different feeling.
Yeah, it is. And if you look at some of the studies, people kind of, a lot of the sort of high fat people freak out because your blood sugar level rises. But that's a good thing because you're actually getting your body's using blood sugar and that glucose in your blood for energy, and it's not it doesn't have to go through the extra work of manufacturing that from somewhere else.
Yeah.
And the insulin response is suppressed. So it's not, so even though your blood sugar rises a bit, you don't have this insulin reaction during exercise that will then make you crash. So that's for me, I see a lot of people going down the nutrition strategy of they eat high fat, low carb day to day, and then in the race they go and eat high fat as well, which to me is a waste of it's a waste of your GI processing abilities, because you've got enough fat. Even a lean person has enough fat to get them through probably several Ironmans.
Yeah.
But you don't have enough carbohydrate. You don't have enough glycogen. So if you're going to take something in, my opinion is just take in the carbohydrate. There's no need to take in extra fat during the actual race because you have enough of that already.
Yeah, that's what I thought as well. But do you like to eat low carb, high fat as a day in, day out kind of diet, or not?
It depends on the time. So I periodize this throughout the year. So I find the off season for me is a good time to do that, just because it helps prevent massive weight gain.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great way to control weight just by controlling the carbohydrate a bit. It does help, and I think being strict helps me to be more disciplined. Just because it's if you're flexible on what you eat, it's kind of anything goes, and before you know it, you're like stuffing your face full of pies and burgers and chips and stuff like that.
Yeah.
In the off season, I feel it helps, and then definitely before a race, I try and do a few weeks of that just to kind of really ramp that fat burning ability back up again. And then also any time where it's necessary what's more convenient from a training point of view. Like if I'm doing a bunch of long rides and they're not particularly high intensity, just being on that that day-to-day diet means I don't have to carry like 7 energy bars or gels with me. I can just carry some water and maybe like 1 or 2 snacks for a long 5 or 6 hour ride, and I don't need anything else. So it really helps me just from a convenience point of view. And then I think strategically during a race you could use a similar approach. So Ultraman, for example, you start with a 10K swim. If you need to take in something every 20 minutes, you're going to be stopping a lot. You've got the swim escort and a kayak, and you're going to be like stopping and drinking every 20 minutes, and you lose a lot of time every time you do that. Where in this race, I just stopped once. I got calories in at 2 hours. So I swam for 2 hours without anything. Drank a bottle pretty quickly while kind of doing backstroke with one hand at 2 hours, and then that was it. I didn't take in anything else for the swim. So that idea of being metabolically flexible meant in that situation I could just really tap into fat stores, not need the carbohydrate, and then once I got on the bike, I was just I really took in that carbohydrate and thinking of the next day started refueling so that I could start the next day with full glycogen stores.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting because I did the stopping every 20 minutes on the swim, and I was just trying to be, I wasn't racing. I was just trying to see if I could finish one of these things. So I was trying to stay fueled as I could. But yeah, that probably added about 10, 15 minutes altogether.
Yeah.
And then what my experience has been at first when you're trying to break yourself of all the sugars, it's pretty painful. But then the more you do it, the more you go back and forth. Actually, I can't decide on whether it's less painful or you're just better at controlling your effort so that it's not as painful. So like say you're realizing that you're going to go lower sugar, lower carb, and so you've learned from the pain from before to just not go as fast, and then you won't hit the wall as hard or at all. That gives your body to catch up and start supplying fat as a fuel. Do you feel the same way, or am I off base there?
I feel the first time you go through this, it's a lot more painful than the others. And I use, when I'm riding my bike with the power meter, that gives you some absolute numbers to be able to compare efforts. So for me these days, if I want to kind of go into this high fat burning state, it's literally like 3 or 4 days. And then I don't go through that 10 days of like severe pain and energy loss and all that type of stuff. I feel pretty good after even 5 days, and my power, I gauge this by the power on the bike and how I feel. So if I feel energetic and my power is good, and my heart rate versus power is good, then I kind of view that I'm in a good place. So usually it's 45 days maybe, but sometimes it just seems a bit random that I do this and it takes longer, like 10 days, and there's no particular reason that I can figure out why it takes longer sometimes. But on the whole, it's much shorter. Whereas the first time it was 14, maybe even longer, maybe 2 to 3 weeks it took for me to actually feel energetic.
So let's say you were doing an average 2 to 3, 4 hour bike ride right now. Well, after you recover from your race, you probably have no want to go out there right now. But let's say you got back into training. What do you normally feel out on a bike ride?
So I'll take a few bottles. So I'll have water with a branched chain amino acid mix. I use this BCAA mix called Extend. So it's Skivation Extend. Mm-hmm. I just buy that off Amazon. So but any sort of amino acid mix will do, and that it tastes nice, and it also just prevents any sort of muscle breakdown if you are in a carbohydrate depleted state. But then I'd probably take one or two bars with me, so something that's convenient. There's a local bar manufacturer here in Colorado called Bobo's oat bars, and they're nice because it's like oatmeal, but it's mixed with like some honey and natural stuff. It's kind of nice and moist as well, so it's a nice texture.
Right.
And I'll probably have like 1 or 2 of those, and that's it. And I won't really need anything else. But then what I do is when I get back, I make sure that I refuel pretty well. If depending on what my next session is coming up. If I don't have another training session that day, I just eat normally. But if I've got another session, then I try and get a decent amount of carbohydrate in as soon as I'm done with that session.
So what you're saying there is you kind of do, in a training ride, you kind of do lower carb fueling. Is that to kind of train your metabolism a little bit, and then you refuel after you're done?
That's mainly just for a convenience thing. I think, I feel at this point now, my metabolism, like I can get back into a really good fat burning state within a few days. So like doing long depleted rides isn't something that is massively of value to me. Sometimes there's more of a cost in doing that. So I try to fuel what I need to fuel with during the actual ride. So if it's low intensity, I'll take 2 or 3 bars maybe, and then I'll fuel well afterwards, because the fueling afterwards will make sure that I'm pretty well stocked for the next time I do that.
Right.
And then if it's I do have key depletion workouts that I'll do every now and again, but not that frequently. And by what I mean by that is I'll be in a depleted state already, and then I'll go out and do a depleted ride, and really I'll try to get to that point where I'm really feeling the pain of a full on glycogen depletion bonk.
Right.
But it often takes a lot for that to actually happen. I mean, I've been on during my Ultraman build, I did like a 3.5 hour run with no fuel, and it was all good. And it's because of that pace.
Right.
I'm kind of running 8.5 minute miles. You're pretty much burning almost 100% fat. Well, I am, at least at that pace. So it's not like there's this need to eat anything. And there was enough glycogen stored from whatever I ate previously just to get me through that. But I feel it's experiencing that in training, at least occasionally, is good, because then you can deal with it in a race. If it happens in a race and it's the first time you've ever hit the wall or seeing stars or bonked, it can be something that you don't know how to deal with. So I think every now and again it's good just to do that in training and get to that point where you learn what happens to your own body, and you learn how long it takes you to recover from that, and that you can actually recover and continue. And not totally freak out about that.
Yeah, I was listening to another podcast recently, a big famous one, and the guy said, "No, if you bonk, it's over." And I was like, "No, it's not."
Yeah.
It's not over at all. If you just walk or sit down for 10, 15 minutes, your fat burning turns on, and you can start progressing slowly. And then the thing I've noticed is the more fat burning I get, the better my body gets at it, the less impact that bonk seems to have. And it takes longer, like you're saying, it's actually becomes more and more difficult to initiate, which is a good thing, I think.
Absolutely. Yeah, you're right. The severity of it is way lower than if you carbohydrate dependent, and you suddenly, you don't have the sudden, like, I've hit the wall, I'm seeing stars, I'm like, I don't know what to do. It's just kind of a gradual thing, and you know it's going to happen. Yeah. And you can kind of deal with it more easily. And that actually happened to me on day 2 of the Ultraman at 171 miles. When I was at like 168 miles, I could just feel it coming on. Like I could just feel it. And it was like the toughest 3 miles I've ever ridden in my life.
Yeah.
And I knew it was going to be touch and go whether I'd actually make the finish line or not. But I was like, okay, I know what this is coming on. I know what I'm going to feel like, and I know I think I can make it without kind of stopping and refueling and losing some time. And having that familiarity was really good, and knowing that it wasn't going to be a sudden wall that I was going to just drop and fall off my bike into the traffic. Was very reassuring, because I'd experienced it before.
All right, well let's talk about your bike setup real quick before we let you go, and because I love asking the successful triathlete this question is, how do you have your bike set up? And what I mean by that is, where on your bike do you keep your fuel and your hydration and your bike computer? Do you keep it on your wrist and between your hands, or what? And also, what kind of gear are you using on your bike?
Okay, so I would people would probably call me an aero weenie. So I'm kind of obsessed about aerodynamics, and all my choices are based around that. So I ride a Diamond bike, which is the beam bike, and that's I love that bike. It's great for an Ultraman distance as well. It's the ultimate. There's some limitation of the rough roads that you ride on. Just the beam's got some slight absorption. It's nothing you can actually feel when you're riding, but you feel it once you're done. You feel the lack of any sort of rough impact. Yeah, it's really good. Nutrition wise, I've got an X-Lab torpedo bottle that I have between the bars.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm in an Ironman, I kind of refill that, grab something from aid stations, refill it on the fly.
Right.
When Ultraman, it's much more convenient. You've got a crew that gives you whatever you want. So I would just grab my bottles and refill that on the fly. I have a bento box. I've got the Torhans bento box on the you're kind of on the top tube and that on the beam on the Diamond bike.
Yeah.
And that I just put in anything that's like a chew. So I use the Power Bar Cola chews. For a natural alternative, sometimes I'll put in these dried. I get tart cherries and put them in there. That's kind of a great high calorie, very good carbohydrate snack, and it's got it's got some good antioxidants in it as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then I carry a latex pit stop. Basically, if I get a flat, I just I squirt some of that stuff. It's like a compressed canister. I just have on my saddle.
Okay.
And then I use a dash saddle. It's got like an integrated bottle mounts on it. So I sometimes have a bottle behind there with either calories, or I have my flat kit and everything stored in one of those pods. It's basically like a sealed bottle, pretty much. And then in terms of setup, my body position's pretty aggressive. Some people set up for comfort and and they kind of unaerodynamic when they're doing that. I just set up for as aerodynamically possible as I can,
Right.
and through doing long rides, I don't really experience pain or discomfort. It's actually being more aerodynamic actually has ended up being more comfortable for me in the long run. So I don't feel like I'm too aggressive on my position.
I agree. The comfort, you get really aerodynamic. The comfort is that you get to finish 10 minutes before the other.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You're not out there an extra 10 minutes grinding away because you're got stuff all hanging off your bike. And
Yeah.
I totally agree. I don't have a Diamond, but I'm an aero weenie too. And so I've tried to get as tiny as I possibly can on this. I have a BMC, and with everything aero matters. It all matters, and especially if you're doing long stuff. And I'm used to my bike position and how it looks. And I took my bike into the bike shop the other day, and they were commenting on my position is super. They were saying it was super aggressive.
Yeah.
I was like, really? Because it feels really comfortable. But I think over
Yeah.
the years, I've just lowered the stem. I'll lower the stem, the handlebars, another half a centimeter. And then I'll lower it another half a centimeter, and another half a centimeter, another half centimeter. So over the years, it's gotten lower and lower, and I really work on trying to get tiny.
Yeah.
So that's awesome, man.
And I use shorter cranks as well, so I use 165 mil cranks, and that was something that came about.
Wow.
When I was my bike fitter is a guy named Jim Manton. He's got this Aero Sports, which is like an aero testing facility at the LA Velodrome. And he actually he did some blind tests with me where he would tell me to ride at a specific effort, and he would see my power and I couldn't see it. And he's got this retool fit bike where he kind of changes the crank length and changes my position. So he actually got me to a position where I felt great and I was outputting more power, but feeling better than I did at other setups. So my entire position and my crank length and all of that sort of stuff was based on me feeling certain perceived effort, but he chose wherever the power was highest as the equipment choice for that setup.
Yeah, I've done the cheap version of that where heart rate and a power meter on a trainer, and then warming up and then just adjusting everything. And I did too. I dropped my crank length to get more compact, and that way you can get lower and your knees aren't rising as high. But I didn't go, man. You said 165s?
Yeah, I've got 165s. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
So I've got it. So it's an interesting setup because I've got 165 crank arms, and then I've got my cranks, my chain rings are these oval chain rings. So I've got a 54 tooth oval chain ring. So when at the widest point, it's actually like a 56.
Yeah.
And that's really helped for a lot of the type of races I do. You got these long sort of gradual downhills where you spin out if you don't have something like that, like Kona, that descent from Harvey, and Ironman Arizona as well. There's like this long downhill section it's just a slight downhill, and especially if you got a tailwind, you spin out. But just with that difference in chainring setup in Kona last year, I probably overtook 50 or 60 guys on that downhill, whereas the previous years they were overtaking me. And it's just
Right.
because I didn't spin out, I was still cranking it out.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's cool.
even though we had a tailwind and a downhill.
All right. Well, speaking of races, what do you have next? You've got Boulder. Are you doing anything smaller than that, or is that
You
it?
know what? So on the plan is the next race is Boulder 70.3, so it's good. I get a bit of speed back. But there's so many local races here that like every weekend there's like Olympics or sprints. So I want to try and get a bunch of those in
Mm-hmm.
just for variety. And yeah, I live literally like 3 miles from the Boulder Reservoir, so all the races I can actually just ride to the races.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to doing some of those, and then Boulder 70.3, Boulder Ironman. And I'm doing this really cool race called 106 West, which
Mm-hmm.
it takes place in Lake Dillon, which is 10,000, it's about 10,000 feet you start at. So the swim's at 10,000 feet, and then, so it's a half iron distance in September. So I just thought it sounds
Yeah.
pretty epic and pretty tough and maybe miserable, but I thought that would be fun.
Yeah.
And then I'm doing there's a mountain bike race called Silver Rush 50. So it's a 50 miler in Leadville. It's one of the Leadville feeder races. So I don't have a mountain bike, but I'm doing that on my fat bike. I've got a fat bike for riding in the snow.
Yeah.
So that's going to be kind of a fun race, I think.
Yeah. That's
Other
crazy.
people do it with a crew. I'm just going to do it. It's only 50 miles, so I'm just going to go and do that and do it on the fatty.
So, do you think? Have you gotten your official invite to Ultraman Hawaii yet, or how does that
No,
work? Did I lose you?
it'll open. Then you apply and you submit a race resume, and
Oh, okay.
yeah, I hope after all of this they actually accept. No, I've got you.
Okay.
So I hope after all of this they actually accept me.
Yeah.
So you submit the race resume and the application, and then they decide whether you race or not. But it should be. I'm feeling pretty confident that they'll accept me into it.
Yeah. As long as you haven't offended them somehow by misspeaking about the race or anything like that. So,
Yeah, let's hope not.
do you think Ultraman
Yeah.
has doing something this long has kind of ruined you for the short races, or you're going to be like, well, this isn't exciting, as interesting because it's not as long, or do you think because of all the local short stuff that you've got going on, you'll be able to get back in the groove of things pretty easy?
I don't think so. I mean, I'm feeling. I'm feeling pretty recovered now. I think I lost you there for a second.
Yeah, I'm here.
But I think it's yeah. I was worried. It's mainly this double marathon that I think especially having to dig so deep like that makes puts you in a little bit of a hole for recovery. Like I couldn't even walk up the stairs after the race to go get the post race meal. But the days following, I feel pretty good now. I could probably go for a run today. It's a week, pretty much a week after the race, and I think when I tried to swim. I did a swim workout on Friday, and I felt kind of like this deep fatigue in there, and
Yeah.
I think that it'll take a while for that to kind of settle down, and I'll just listen to my body and see how I feel. I'll probably do some work in the gym for a bit, do some weights, and just have a big swim block. And as soon as I'm feeling good on swimming, I'll start to incorporate more running and biking again. But yeah, it should be maybe a couple of weeks, and then I'll be good to go again.
Cool. Well, that's some good all-around tips on everything from racing to recovery. Do you have links or websites or Twitter or Facebook for people to get in touch with you?
Yes, so my website is robgray.org. That's ROBGRAY. On Twitter, I'm just Rob Gray. Facebook, I'm facebook.com/robgray7. I've actually got an Ultraman page on Facebook as well, which is facebook.com/roboultra. But if they go to my website robgray.org, they can get all my race reports. They can get all the other contact info from there. So that's probably the best first step.
Cool. All right. Well, thanks for the interview, man.
Awesome, thanks. That was great speaking to you.
All right. Thank you so much, Rob. And if you go to zentriathlon.com, you can see a picture of him, and I put a link to his site. And I've already been to his site and was poking around and found it really useful, really cool. This guy's the real deal. He's very excited to talk to him and learn a lot. And I followed up with an email to him that said, "Hey, Rob, ! I'm working on putting your show together, and I forgot to ask you, what is your view on using UCAN? For everybody that knows this, doesn't know this, UCAN is a resistant starch. It's pretty expensive, but it's a very, very, very slow release carbohydrate, to the point of some people won't even like to call it a carbohydrate because it's so slow release, but it is. And I asked, do you use UCAN, and how much do you use? I'll tack that in with my own wrap-up about your coaching services and such. Thanks, Brett. And Rob wrote back, hey, Brett, its primary benefit is the slow release of energy, so the main advantage I see in using something like UCAN is for situations where you want to keep blood sugar levels very stable, or if you have infrequent access to nutrition. The way I use it is part of my pre-race meal. I've had good success at Ironman Arizona in 2014, where I recarbed the day before the race, and then on race day had a pretty high-fat breakfast. And then he lists out what he did. So, yeah, this is for breakfast, 3 hours before the race. Several scoops of UCAN, 3 to 4 servings. Homemade low-carb chocolate, which is coconut oil, raw cocoa powder, stevia, and a little honey, and then a small piece of Ezekiel bread with lots of butter and almond butter. And then he says, that was about 3 hours before the race, then nothing else until I was on the bike. So the only carbs in the breakfast was the UCAN and the small piece of Ezekiel bread. And I can tell you from experience that Ezekiel bread has got a lot of fiber in it, so it's pretty freaking slow. If I eat Ezekiel bread and then go run, I get lightheaded because it's absorbing all your energy to digest that stuff. Everything else was pretty much fat. I found that type of pre-race meal keeps me in a high fat burning state, even though I ate carbs the day before. Then once I'm on the bike, it's solid tempo effort, only taking in carbs. I did a nutrition report for that race here, and let me click on that link, and we'll take you there. robgray.org /Ironman-Arizona-Nutrition-Report, and it's called Ironman Arizona Nutrition Report. And man, he lists it all out, plus graphs. So that is cool stuff. Okay, let me go back to the email because there's one last thing. The other situation where I would use UCAN would be if I had a long race without aid stations and I had to carry my own nutrition. With UCAN, I could just drink a bottle or two and then not have to worry about carrying too much other stuff. That's because it lasts a long time. But if I have access to aid stations, then I can get more calories in if I take more carbs more frequently, every 10 minutes or so. Okay, this is really interesting. Okay, the every 10 minutes or so. Yeah, when I'm working out, I have an alarm on my watch, my Garmin, that vibrates my wrist. 10 minutes, take a sip of fuel. That way I don't forget. I can decide. I don't have to take fuel, but I can decide. Do I want fuel? It's just a reminder so I don't forget. And then also, he mentioned, I don't know if this is in the interview or not, but you're doing, let's say UCAN, and you can, the thing where in the swim at Ultraman, I heard him say this, that if you fueled every 20 minutes in the swim, that's a lot of stopping. And if you load up on UCAN, which is really slow release, then you don't have to stop. See, if you fuel while on the bike, you're still rolling. If you fuel while on the run, you're still moving. But if you fuel while on the swim, it really puts a dent in your time. And he was trying to get through the swim as efficiently as possible. So thank you, Rob, for the email and the news on UCAN. I'm still trying out potato starch, unmodified potato starch, and it seems to be the same result. But I'm still testing. And also, I also have UCAN, and I use that back and forth. So I'm not against UCAN whatsoever. Okay, and I think that's it for all that. Let's go ahead and mention some show sponsors. This episode, I pulled them out of the interview because I just want to list them together. And we have... Oh, it's somewhere else, but let me go find it real quick. I know off the top of my head, livingfuel.com, and I heard them mentioned on the Ben Greenfield podcast. He recommends their green shake. I recommend their green shake. It's really, really good. Super high nutrition. They have protein powder. They have amino acid powder. They have these incredible bars, but you should skip those bars and eat Amrita bars instead. And then they have... I'm trying to think what else. Oh, they have these packets, these little sachet little packets that have chia seeds and coconut in them, and they taste so good. I just eat them raw right out of the pack. I just pour it into my mouth. On that note, I've been trying a lot of chia seed stuff lately. At the end of the show, well, check out livingfuel.com. They are a supporter of the show, and I really appreciate them. They have a huge selection of all kinds of stuff. Okay, I mentioned at the end of the show 33 Shake. I was on the phone to London with them, and I'm a big believer in their stuff that is vanilla, real coconut sugar, and then what was the other thing? They have chia seeds mixed in, and you add water to it, and you shake it up. So check them out, 33shake.com, and you can get a discount with using discount code ZenTri33Shake. And Amrita bars. Oh, I've had 2 today. I've been bad. I needed some carbs, man. Amrita bars, because they taste so good. I eat one, and I'm like, oh, these are so healthy. They couldn't possibly be a problem with me eating like 8 of them. They are so good. My favorite might be the mango one. Raisin cinnamon's pretty freaking good. And yeah, man, Amrita bars. Oh, they're so good. And they have a code, Zen2016. If you want to get a discount on Amrita bars, check out, they have an Amrita Club too. And I think that discount code works on a lot of their stuff because they have the coolest kit in the world. I love their kit. I wore it during my self-supported Ultraman when I did my little Ultra Baby. On the second day of the bike, I think I wore the kit the whole day, I believe. That was pretty rad. And because I look pro in that thing. And you will too. So check them out, amritahealthfoods.com. And the club is 20% off the regular price plus free shipping, and you choose the bars you want, and you get a triathlon or cycling top free with your order. Oh my gosh. You just need to email them and let them know. And it's still cold out there, and Amrita bars don't freeze, which is rad. And it'll save your teeth. Let's see. Living Fuel. Let's go back to them for a second. Living Protein is this protein powder they make, which tastes like vanilla. I like it a lot. Non-soy, vegetarian, yellow pea, brown rice protein with added fiber, prebiotics, and probiotics. Perfect for green smoothies that need some extra protein. And boom, pretty cool stuff. And who else do we got? I need to talk to Chris Haig. Or is Chris Haig still supporting the show? He's a really great triathlon coach. Check him out at Chris Haig Coaching. And yeah, I mentioned how to get Hornet Juice and donate to the show at the very end of this episode. All right, I think that's it. Let's go ahead and get started with the training log. Just off the top of my head before we get into that, I had 3.5 hours worth of tattoo work done, and I still got another 3.5 hours to go. I'm breaking it up over the next few months so I don't miss too much swimming at once, because you have to take a 3-week break. You take a 2-week break before you can get in the pool, but you have to take a 3-week break before you can get more tattoo work done. So I'm taking like a couple months break, and that way I get to swim a whole bunch and then go back in and then have to take 2 weeks off not to swim. Until 3 weeks is up, your skin peels like a sunburn. It's really odd, and it'll clog up the needle. He says, I don't want to spend all my time picking your dead skin out of my tattoo gun. You sure came a long way to get revenge on your boy. That's from The Revenant. And the tattoo is it's a Japanese traditional, with a Japanese tidal wave on the chest, and then a Japanese tiger on the arm and pattern. It's really cool. It's kind of like a half sleeve, and then a chest, and then over the back of the shoulder. It ended up being a lot bigger than I thought it was going to be. And yeah, there's that. Injury update. Left arm still sucks. Feet are getting better. And I think that's it. So let's go ahead and get into the training log. And let's roll. Here we go.
You are entering the ZenTri training log zone. Huneli.
Hi everybody, my name's Brett. I'm a triathlete. Hi Brett.
I decided it's time I got some friends more suited to my status.
But Joe, we've been friends for years.
Hey, we all make mistakes. Come on, dudes, let's go exercise! Exercise! Yeah! I'm gonna do sit-ups till I poop myself!
What's up, homies? Time for a new training log! Okay, start date. Is it the 25th? February 25th? February 26th. There we go. All right. Looking at my Garmin 920 XT, the only watch to use if you're serious about stuff. Except the Sunto Ambit's pretty good too. All right, the swim. I've been recovering from a broken arm, which may ruin my swimming form for the rest of my life. But it's we're about 2 months after breaking it, maybe, and maybe 2.5. And I had a breakthrough a few days ago. Dude, are you really cutting me off like that? For real? Where, let's give this guy a little honk and say thanks. There you go. Use your horn, people. It's enjoyable. And I was actually able to put some weight on it while swimming the other day. And I thought, oh, that's nice. That's new. That's interesting. And it upped my speed maybe just the tiniest bit, but I was doing intervals, so it was kind of hard to tell. And for an hour swim, I do mostly continuous swimming, and I'm mixing like some hard efforts for, like periodically, kind of here and there, usually, sometimes I just go easy to moderate for an hour. That's called a U.S. postal swim, by the way, if you try to swim for an hour. See how far you can go in an hour. But I'm not trying to do that. I'm just, just swimming. I'm not racing. But before I broke my arm, I was clocking around, on an average day, 4,000, 4,100 yards in a swim in an hour. That's just shy of an hour Ironman swim. And that's just cruising along, and for those that are new to the show, I have a background in swimming, so that's very average for somebody that's got a background in competitive swimming. So the interesting thing was, after I broke my arm, I was doing 2,500, 2,700 yards in an hour. I'm talking like I got a little T-Rex arm and I'm flopping it over, painful. And then eventually I worked my way up to, at one point all of a sudden I was doing 3,000. And then for a long time I've been holding steady at 34, 35, 36. And then I got up to like maybe a couple times 37 if I was going hard. And 3,700 yards in an hour. And then today I had felt great, which I'll get into in a minute, how I pulled that off. And also was able to really put weight on my arm and actually do most of a pull. There's still, basically my wrist and my elbow joints don't work correctly. They don't twist fully. So I don't get as much grab, and it also hurts. And I can't extend my arm all the way. I'm missing 10 degrees of stretch, which is actually quite a bit when you get into the water. You don't notice it in the air, but in the water it creates some drag. And I knocked out this morning 3,850 yards, so just shy of 3,900 yards, because I was just under an hour too. And I was so excited. I was like, man, and it felt good. I felt like I was able to use my left shoulder and my left arm a whole lot more. And it's just the healing process. I went to go see the bone doctor day before yesterday, and he said the bone is healed enough to really start putting weight on it if I wanted to do push-ups and stuff like that. So I'm really excited. Okay, so that's Project Broken Wing progress. I got the sun in my eyes. And on top of that, I had a phone call with 33 Shake to London, calling London yesterday via Skype, and I talked to Warren Pohl. I have to look, is it Warren Poole or Warren Pohl? Anyway, he's awesome, man. I ought to get him on the podcast. He's got a great accent and very well spoken, and just really, this company's really got their act together, and they're progressing, and it's really cool. And so they make fuel, and we were trading stories back and forth about dealing with fuel and metabolism and what they've learned. So they do all natural ingredients, like really high quality stuff, because you don't really need that much as the cheap fuel companies, the companies that are using cheaper fuel try to push on you. And so if you don't use that much, then you can use higher quality stuff. And so we were trading stories back and forth. He was doing the Marathon des Sables or whatever, but that's where they run across the Sahara Desert. And he said he didn't really believe in the metabolism thing until he fat burning and improving your fat burning for metabolism for more performance, until he biked up something like Mount Kilimanjaro or something for 5 hours with another guy, and the other guy used nothing. And we like dropped him or something. We have to get him on this show to tell a story about it. And I was telling him, I said, my story with that is I got to the point where I couldn't do anything without sugar, and then if I didn't sugar, then I would bonk horribly within like 20 minutes. Hold on, I'm entering a school zone, gonna get off the phone for a second. All right, I'm back. And I've been carb tested a long time ago, and they said, you are amazingly carb dependent. You can't do anything without carbs. And and my race experiences and all that other stuff, just gotta pour sugar on it, or I can't do anything. And so in my experience, what happened was I went out on a run and I bonked, and I forgot to bring any kind of fuel with me. I bonked like 20 minutes in, and then I just started my workout, right? And I'm going for an hour and a half or something, and I'm like, well, I'll just walk, because of all the ultra running I've done. If you just walk, you'll feel better, you know. But we're talking, that's like mile 80. But anyway, I'm like, I'll just walk, and I'll probably feel better, and then I'll be okay. And in about 7 to 10 minutes, I felt a lot better. And then in a couple minutes later, I was able to start running again. And I was like, that's really weird. So 20 minutes in, a bonk, right? And then a couple workouts later, I did the same thing on purpose. And the next thing I know, my bonk was pushed out to 40 minutes. And then a couple workouts later, bonk with no fuel, bonk was pushed out to the end of the hour, and I never felt it. And also, each time that I've done this, as I bonk, I've learned to slow the pace down, and then the bonk, both slow the pace down, and also the bonk is almost not only painless, but just like a piece of information. Like, oh, you're running low on your natural stores of glycogen, just slow down a little bit and let your fat burning pick up, and you'll be good. And so what I've learned, and this is also my experience, is you do periods of a few workouts like that on occasion, and that ups your fat metabolism availability, so that you're pretty much bonk proof, and then you lower your dependence on carbs big time. If you look at a graph, the amount of energy you're drawing from fat starts going way up. And you could do things like sit around and not eat carbs, you know, and for like 3 days, and go into ketosis or all that crap, which takes forever and is boring and not all that interesting and very I mean, who wants to do that? Or you could wake up in the morning after not eating anything overnight, which is normal. Everybody does that. Not eat anything, and then go for an easy workout and force a bonk, and then start dipping into your fat stores and turn on that ketosis, grabbing energy from body fat immediately. You know, like within a couple hours of when your alarm goes off in the morning, and force that state. And so I did that. I think I did that yesterday morning on a run or on a bike ride, and I did it this morning on this swim. And I timed it 7 minutes into my swim. I went from feeling kind of just average to the fat burning kicking in. I had a feeling like, oh, you better slow down a little bit. You're kind of like outrunning your glycogen, and it didn't feel bad. It wasn't a bonk at all. I've learned to slow down the pace. I slowed down the pace just the tiniest bit and gave it a few minutes, and then wham, fat burning kicked in. And like I said, I felt great, and I even did the last 3 minutes of an hour. So I've been swimming 57 minutes at a good clip, and I did the last 3 minutes hard, like a hard interval. And this is on no fuel, starting from 8:30 the night before. And then finished the swim, and got out, and now I've driven to work, and I still haven't eaten anything. And you can tell by my mood and my attitude, I feel pretty freaking good. But once I get into work, I'm gonna eat something and pick back up again. So it's called metabolic flexibility, where you, on occasion, do something that I guess would drive you, the way to phrase it, would drive you into ketosis. And then it refreshes your body's memory and systems on like, hey, you can get fuel this other way. And if you do it every once in a while, it's not painful at all. And then you'll notice all these great benefits, like throughout the day. You're not starving you don't have blood sugar crashes or anything, because your body's trained itself. You've trained your body to be able to get extra energy when it's needed. And then you go right back to eating normally, day in and day out for a few days or however long you want. And then you avoid all these metabolic thyroid and stuff like that from being low carb all the time, which is possibly not good for you. So that's just my experience. You can try it if you want. You're on your own. All right, I gotta go. Gotta get to the whistle work. Out, bang. All right, a little more training log here. I'm running with Kona. I got his 15-foot retractable leash in one hand. Let's go over here to the meet. And hear the birds. Occasional car. We're getting off of a major road here. Not major. And we're going to start running on this other road. All right. A few things happened yesterday. Went in and got, that's the Garmin picking up the auto pause. Starting running again. When you're running a dog, they want to stop and sniff stuff. So it's easy to put it on auto pause. And that way you don't forget to turn it off and on. And, oh man, I left work early yesterday, took vacation time. The tattoo artist that I've been using is such in high demand. They don't work at night. They work during the day until the evening. This is what you can do when you own your own business successfully and do a good job. They don't have crappy clientele. They get to charge more, and they get to dictate their hours. So I took vacation time Friday afternoon and drove over to Bryan, which is our sister city, and got 3.5 hours of tattoo work done on my upper sleeve, like elbow up to chest, right pec kind of area. And it goes over my shoulder too. But anyway, and last time I went, it was so painful that I was gritting my teeth. I think I cracked a tooth from that tattoo section. And what else happened? I was traumatized emotionally just from the exhaustion of clinching. I did 2.5 hours that time and was just writhing in pain. And the tattoo artist said there's two types of people where it hurts when they're getting tattoos, but then the recovery, let me flip it around so it makes a better story. There's people where it doesn't really hurt that much getting tattoos, and they're like, what do you mean it hurts? And it feels good. A slight burn kind of feels good. And then, but then their recovery, oh wait, I got it all backwards. Anyway, I'm the type, oh my gosh, I gotta start over. I'm the type where he said, it really hurts during the tattoo, but the recovery doesn't hurt at all. And I'm like, what? There's a recovery? And he's like, yep, you're that kind. Apparently, like half the people have it hurts for days and days afterwards. And I was like, I have no idea what you're talking about. So anyway, today I used my triathlete brain and used some science and smarts. And I did research on the internet and found out that you can put lidocaine cream on before you go in and get your tattoo done. And then it doesn't hurt anywhere near as bad. And that's what I did. And I sat there for 3.5 hours and got tattooed. It was all the shading and everything. It takes forever. And I almost fell asleep because I was just like, So my point is do research and look up the science, and your life can be a whole lot easier. And Cliff, the tattoo guy, said, oh yeah, sometimes people come in and put on lidocaine. If they're one of these people that it really hurts and they writhe and flinch in the chair, I like it way better. It's easier for me, the tattoo artist, he said, to do this when people are numbed up. Anyway, so there was that yesterday. And still, in spite of all that, I felt good enough where I still got in a bike ride. And I was riding southern New Zealand, the southern tip of the North Island of New Zealand. New Zealand is 2 islands.
and I was riding it on Real-Time Athlete. Hold on, I need to pause for a second. I was a young couple walking with their 2 little girls on bicycles with training wheels. And I put a monitor on a music stand in front of the bike, like a 27-inch monitor, and hooked up my computer to it, my laptop, and ran Real-Time Athlete. And what it does is it stitches together Google Street View into a ride. So you plan your route ahead of time where you want to ride, and it's awesome. Gotten tired of Zwift, and Zwift is so competitive that you'll end up riding too hard. So I need to take a break from it. Oh, this is nice.
All right, we are in the ZenTri mobile studios with foggy windows. All right, leaving the hizzle, going to the whizzle, going to work. Had an interesting weekend of training. Thought I'd share what works and what doesn't, and let's get rolling here. Okay, so Saturday, if I included the run portion of that into this podcast, into the training log, it got kind of scattered kind of here and there because Kona is this big dog I have that likes to drag me all over the place, and it's hard to run with him and the microphone in one hand, so I get kind of scatterbrained, and it makes for bad podcasting because I have to edit out all the silences and stuff. It's tough. But what you heard there is what I probably did was 2 hours bike in the morning, if I recall correctly. I'll have to look at my training peaks, and then 1 hour run later in the day to kind of come up for 3 hours for the day. And that's nice, and that's how you do things and fit them around, family stuff. Kai had a soccer game, and he also had a friend come over. Maybe I did the run in the morning and the bike in the, I did the bike in the evening. And that all worked out all right. But what's better is what I did on Sunday, which was I strung them all together. So I did a 2 hour bike ride and then a 1 hour run in the afternoon. And if you string stuff together, that's a better training stimulus because you're practicing for the real event. Separating things out you're not really training your metabolism so much. You're not training your endurance. You're getting fast for short bursts of time, but it's a whole nother skill and art to go continuously. So a 3 hour training day all at once does the trick. And what I did was what you learn to do is 2 hours of biking. Oh, there's the Dave Scott workout, which is bike an hour, run an hour, bike an hour, run an hour, bike an hour, run an hour, or, different ratios. But you go back and forth and continuously, and that teaches you respect for the run. It is really hard to run after biking, so you need to train yourself to bike correctly because you're going to be running later. And if you use heart rate and let's say you have a power meter and you do watts, and you can go in your aerobic zone, your kind of zone 2. And so I kept it around high 120s, mid 120s. Once I got into 130 heart rate, you got to kind of watch that a little bit. And I'm 42, 43 years old, so you do 180 minus your age, and that's probably your top end limit of what you should do aerobically. And you got to keep remembering, this is a 3 hour workout. Where people fail in triathlon is they think, oh, this is a 2 hour bike ride and then a 1 hour run. No, that's not how it works, because you're breaking things down too small. That's a coping mechanism. What you need to think of is, this is a 3 hour workout. What would I be doing if I was biking for 3 hours? How hard would I bike now, right? And then the last hour is going to be kind of tough on the legs. How hard would I bike right now? Well, you'd bike a lot easier, and that's what works. So then now you're biking a little bit easier. The numbers are almost almost nearly as good as if you were biking 2 hours, but now you can run. You can run, and you can have a nice, enjoyable run workout. And so on the run, it's a warmer day, so I noticed I started getting a little bit dehydrated towards the end of the run. And what happens there is your heart rate starts climbing and climbing. Your blood gets thick because it's not as hydrated, and you run. The pressure that your heart has to push the stuff makes your the thicker blood makes your heart have to work a little bit harder. Man, it's a little rough out there, and this is Texas, and it's starting to get a little bit warm, even though it's February. All right, hold on. All right, are we back? Okay, I have to go through a school zone. And, later that afternoon and evening, I started developing a headache, and I was hungry, and what that means is you're dehydrated, and that was mostly from doing the run. So I learned from this one, I was very well hydrated on the bike, but on the run, I only drank 20 ounces of water, and I know from my sweat rate that I lose probably a liter and a half, maybe up to 2 liters if it's really hot, of water per hour. So what I should have done to recover better, not be miserable, is while I'm running, carry not only my 20 ounces of water, but my additional water. And the people that I coach, I was talking to one guy that I coached the other day about this, and it's not, if you're training, you're not hydrating for today. You're not hydrating for this minute's workout. You're hydrating and eating for tomorrow and the day after and the day after, because it's kind of like not hydrating correctly for today is kind of like drinking alcohol. There's these really funny videos where they show smoking weed versus drinking, and they get them about the same amount of intoxicated, inebriated, and then have them do like skills tests. The weed person, the marijuana person, is like really creative with their failing. The drunk person like falls asleep and starts crying. But anyway, the next day they interview the person that was either drunk or high the day before, and the drunk person feels like crap, right? They want to call in sick to work. They got a massive headache, all this stuff, sick to their stomach. And the marijuana candidate is, yeah, I feel okay. Maybe ate a little bit too much or something. And if that, just like nothing. And that's the way you want to feel training. You want, and there's ways to do that, is to hydrate correctly. And then you can train day after day after day. It's consistency in triathlon training that makes you really, really great. So it's kind of like getting a good night's sleep and hydrating, and boom, you can train over and over and over again. It's pretty cool. Now let's see what else happened. I'm interviewing Rob Gray today, and he's the Ultraman Florida winner. I'm really excited about that. I've been mixing in a little bit more recovery than usual. A 3-hour total day on Saturday and a 3-hour day on Sunday is plenty for right now. All I've got coming up is a half Ironman in April, Galveston, and then an Ironman in Canada, Whistler, in, what is that, July, August? I think it's around my birthday in July, end of July. And, I've signed up for a charity ride that has a 100-mile option. So I'm going to time trial that pretty much as a single workout. So I kind of have to start doing the math. 100-mile bike ride is 4.5 hours on a time trial bike, maybe 5 hours, maybe. It kind of depends on, how you want to treat the day. Is it a training day or is it a race day, on the 3-hour day yesterday, if you're training aerobically, what you do is you just keep going easy. Like I said, I kept it in zone 2 the entire time until the very last 10 minutes. And because I still had energy, tons of energy on the very last 10 minutes, I put in a dose of kind of zone 3, which worked the legs really nicely in the last 10 minutes. which was nice because then I didn't mess up my workout by doing that too soon. And metabolism wise, I've been working on, I got a runny nose from a coworker came in sick to work the other day and had to come in. And then now we've all got sniffly noses. It's okay. And the the metabolism thing, what's going on with that is I've done a few workouts fasted or nearly fasted, very low carb, and purposefully kind of bonked. And then on, I don't remember about Saturdays, but Sundays workout, I did totally normal fueling, like carbohydrate. And what was really, really cool was the practice from going low carb allowed me to do correct carb on Sunday. So it gave me the confidence to not overfuel. Oh my gosh, I don't, I need some energy. I'm feeling a little low. Pour on sugar. No, you don't need to. You've got the ability to put on a little bit of sugar and let your fat burning catch up and slow your pace down, and then boom, you feel fine, absolutely fine. I did maple syrup plus maltodextrin and sea salt, and I don't know. I had an Amrita bar with me in case I wanted to nibble on something solid. Never really did. I'm not positive maltodextrin. My body likes maltodextrin so much. But anyway, I had a really successful workout on Sunday by training normal carb. They say low carb train low, race high. Well, sometimes if you got a big training day, train medium, not train low. And we'll talk to Rob Gray about dosing yourself with really low carb to kick that metabolism into gear. And we'll probably cover that earlier in the show. Interesting stuff. All right, that's it. I'm going into W to the ERK. Let's do it. Out. Bang. Hey. On my way to W to the ERK. Oh, there's a neighbor driving. I need to wave. Hey, how's it going? Okay. I have two really interesting things for you. One, what do you want to talk about first? You want to talk about leadership, or do you want to talk about, chasing numbers? Let's talk about chasing numbers. All right. Let's see. Last night I got on the bike and I started working out. I even tweeted for self-motivation that I was going to be riding on Zwift last night. And that helps me. It may help you get stuff done. You publish out there that you're going to do something. That way at least you do it on time. And so I got on the bike and I started pedaling along and I felt tired, and my power and my heart rate was low. It was taking me forever to warm up. I did not want to pour sugar all over the problem, so I was just kind of pedaling along, and two things hit me. One, that's a sign that you need to not train if you're just bleh. And then, because you can get into overtraining, and if you try, even though your body's not responding, well, then what you're doing is you're relying on hormones and stuff like that to adrenaline, to caffeine to get the job done. And that's kind of like pouring sugar on the problem. It doesn't, it's a very short-term solution, which will end up wearing you out. You need to take a break and let those systems recharge. What your body's telling you is those systems are low. And you can push through it, but only at the end of a race. That's a once in a rarity kind of thing. You shouldn't be doing that on a regular training day. You're not improving yourself. Training is to improve yourself, and you're making yourself worse. And the other thing was, so you should just strongly consider taking a break. Oh, Kai injured his foot in soccer practice, twisted his ankle, and he had a big celebratory run at school that he was supposed to go do. He's in Runners Club, and they're having their last big run of the year, and then they're going to meet up for what I don't like, sugary drinks, Sonic brand slushies, and to celebrate at the park. And I said, you are not going to run with your twisted ankle. If you learned anything from me and all my injuries, if you're injured running, then you've got triathlon season coming up, and you cannot make this thing worse. So you're not running today. And he's like, oh, but I want it. And I said, dude, you will be the center of attention not running. Think about it like that. He's like, really? And I'm like, yeah. You not running is going to be a big deal. And everybody's going to be talking about how you didn't run. And people are going to think that you're actually kind of cool. They're going to be thinking about you. And you could be one of the many that are running, or you could be the only one that's not running and be there. And so we emailed the coach. Emily did, and carbon copied me on it. And the coach said, yep, don't worry about it. I'll take care of him. And in the email, we said he's got triathlon season coming up. So we can't have a busted up ankle. Okay, so there's that. I guess that was my third thing. And so back to the chasing the numbers. One way that you can get in this point of being overtrained, starting to get overtrained, it's okay to start to get overtrained as long as you pull the plug, is Zwift has a problem where it has your heart rate, but it's got your watts up on the top left, and you got people all around you who you don't know where they're from or their background, and they're passing you up, going uphill, they're passing you on flat ground, and you end up trying to keep up with these people, and it wears you out. You do a couple of training sessions on Zwift, and you're toast. So there's an alternative. There is a huge alternative. My favorite is realtimeathlete.com. Realtimeathlete.com. If you go there, you can plot a map out of where you want to ride, and you set it to like 22 miles per hour, and it uses Google Street View, so it's still frames, but they go by pretty quickly, and after just a minute, you're used to it, so it doesn't look weird anymore. It doesn't look jaggedy. Mentally, it kind of smooths out. Hold on just a second. All right, I'm back. So the thing I'm doing is I'm riding I'm riding New Zealand, and I've already ridden most of the North Island, and now I've moved over to the South Island, and I'm on this journey where I've got this thing I'm going to do. I'm going to be able to say that I've ridden all of New Zealand, and I rode it on a beautiful day, because they only take Google Street View shots on a beautiful day. But I managed to do all this without having to pay all the money to go to New Zealand. So I get to eat my home food, do it on my time, and I'm riding New Zealand an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours at a time. And so I'm on the South Island, and there's terrain, but there's no watts, and there's nobody else. It's just you, just riding along casually. So I listen to podcasts. I listen to the Anti-Procrastination podcast, and listen to the Slow Home podcast while I'm just riding along. And then what I do is I imagine that I'm biking to work. My work commute's pretty short. It's like 20 minutes in real life, 15 minutes. So I just imagine that I'm biking to work about an hour. And you can do this on the treadmill too. You can set this up in front of your treadmill and just run, and the Street View goes by. And I've done that too. So I've biked and run a little bit of New Zealand. And when I'm done, I'll be able to say that I've ridden New Zealand in a way, sort of. You know what I mean? But in a beautiful, every day was beautiful. Anyway, realtimeathlete.com. So, but the lack of numbers and the lack of other people passing me and everything, I just pedal along, and I'm listening to mellow stuff. And by the end of the hour, I was doing 230 watts, nice heart rate, just cruising along. And that was this morning. And it's just really, really nice to be able to do that. And it's totally different than chasing numbers. And it's a good way to keep from getting overtrained and being too competitive with other people. All right. Then also I had a one-on-one lunch with somebody really important, a assistant fire chief. And our fire department here in town is pretty big. We've got 6 different fire stations. So, and boy, firemen a lot of them are ex-military, and they're all very well trained to be immediately responsive, and lots of training, lots of discipline, and life matters. You know, they do the things that matter, and they're also really trained in rest and recovery. They'll do a shift of a few days at a fire station, and when they're not out fighting a fire or saving somebody out of a vehicle pileup, they're relaxing, eating, relaxing, and then bam, action, right? So They are just like professional athletes. It's really amazing. And when they're in their downtime, they also do training, just lots and lots of training. But everything has to be first response, move fast. They have to be out of the fire station in 90 seconds from a call. And I think that's like the worst case scenario. And that means on the truck moving. From watching TV to on the truck moving in 90 seconds in full uniform. It's crazy. And the coolest thing, many cool things happened in our conversation, but he said something that I wanted to pass on to everybody. It's so wise. He said, you know the difference between getting a new guy to wash a fire truck and getting a veteran, a guy that's been around 10 years or something like that, to wash a truck? And I thought for a minute, and I said, no, what would be, because I thought I could come up with something stupid, but, ask somebody that knows. And I said, no, tell me. And he said, the new guy, you tell him, wash this fire truck. And he'll do it, because he has to do it, because he's the new guy. But the veteran, you walk by the fire truck, and you go, this fire truck looks dirty. And then you don't say anything else, and you keep on walking. You go, fire truck looks dirty. This looks kind of dirty over here. And then you just keep on walking. And the difference is, the new guy, he has to do, he's learning, he'll do it. He has the energy to take on new tasks. Disciplinary action will keep him, in line. The veteran, if you tell a veteran what to do, they will get mad because you're treating them like they don't know what to do, right? They'll get defiant. And the way that you get them to do something is you just point out that something's not exactly correct. And because they've been there for a while, they feel ownership over their job, right? And they want to feel independent, and they want to feel ownership, and they want to feel control over the situation. And if you treat them like a new guy, they're going to feel out of control, and they're going to rebel. They're going to well, I'll wash it whenever I get around to it. But if you just point out that something's a little bit dirty, they'll get the idea in their own mind. I'm going to clean that, right? There's your ownership, your own self-direction. And it feels good. And it gives them choices. They chose to clean it right now. And it gets them engaged. It's really fascinating. So I wanted you to take that with you on your daily journey, dealing with people at work, people at home. If somebody's new to something, you give them explicit directions and do it now. And because they don't know the value of doing it, they're going to learn eventually over time. And if you're dealing with somebody that's been in that environment for a long time, and they're an expert in that area already, sorta, they're experienced, then you just point out that this thing's not up to spec, just a little bit. But don't tell them to do anything, and then watch what happens. It's crazy, huh? All right, I'm at W to the ERK. And I think next we'll wrap up this episode. All right, out, bang. All right, let's go ahead and wrap up this show. I'm upstairs in the training cave. Let's go ahead and close this door. Got my cat staring at me. You can come in or you can come out. Which one do you want? I'm closing the door. Closing the door? Typical cat, right? If the door's closed, they want in. And listening to the Joe Rogan podcast, they're doing a little wrap-up of the Conor McGregor fight, which was awesome. Nate Diaz is a triathlete in his spare time, and he beat up somebody pretty good. And he said he wasn't even in training going into that. And it was funny listening to the podcast. They said, or listening to the live broadcast, Nate Diaz, he's training for the triathlon. They always call it the triathlon because everybody that doesn't do triathlon thinks it's all one thing. It's all Ironman Hawaii. That's what I thought before I got started doing triathlon. Is when somebody asked me, hey, do you want to do triathlons? I said, the one in Hawaii, that monstrous thing? They said, oh, no, there's shorter distance ones. There's sprints and everything. And I was like, oh, okay. No. Well, I said, maybe. What time is practice? And they said, well, swimming is 5:30 tomorrow morning. And I said, no, because I grew up going to early swim team practices. And I was like, never again. Those suck. But guess where I was the very next morning in 2002, 2001, something like that. Anyway, we are back. I want to mention, listen to the Joe Rogan podcast if you want dude time. It'll get your testosterone up listening to dudes all the time. It's a mix of smart and also rough and tumble fun stuff. It's pretty good. And also, let's see, I want to mention donations to the show. If you found Zen and the Art of Triathlon a helpful, fun, happy show that gets you training better and smarter with the tips and stuff that I give, then you can donate to the podcast and help keep it on the air. It really does help pay the bills. Every little bit counts. And the easiest way is to go to the left side of ZenTriathlon.com and look for the PayPal support donation page. You can give a one-time donation, or you can give a recurring donation for $3.95 a month is what I said it at, just under $4 a month. And yeah, it's really, really cool. And if you do that, you get your name mentioned on the show. Every time I get a donation, I write it down on my list, and I mention it right about now. But let me go ahead and mention this one. Matt Biggin sent in an email, and I want to mention it real quick. Let me go click on the list here. There we go. I'm drinking red wine after my bike ride. I was riding my bike on the trainer around New Zealand on realtimeathlete.com. Realtimeathlete.com. You create a course and just pedal along. It's really awesome. Okay, so Matt Biggin, that's a really cool last name. Is that for real? Anyway, it says, "Hi, Brett!" ! Oh, by the way, I always say the exclamation points. If you put one in, I say it. Long-time listener here. I've been listening since the start, and I am 26 years old today! ! Your podcast, should I do all the punctuation? Has brought me through long workout sessions, commutes, and work in general, even just at home in my leisure time. I just wanted to quickly give my gratitude. Ooh, that's a word that does not get said on this podcast very often. I like it. Let's say it more. Gratitude, gratitude, gratitude. Keep up the great work and keep the rubber sign down. Smiley face. Yeah, I've wrecked a few times recently, and it sucks. I pride myself in trying not to wreck too much, and not wrecking very often. And lately, I have not been living up to my goals. You are the most authentic podcaster that I have found after trying, in all caps, trying to find more podcasts that are as interesting as yours, I cannot! ! You keep it real, especially when you bring us along on the training runs. Oh man, I used to bring everybody along on the bike rides, but then my bike rides were too, now I'm riding my tri-bike all the time and in the aero bars and flying on skinny tires out there. It's actually really dangerous. And so I don't do junk miles on the bike anymore. So I am, it's too dangerous to record on the bike. Man, I used to have this set up. It was cool. In stereo with 18-wheeler trucks going around me and motorcycle gangs and all kinds of stuff. It was cool. I am slowly moving up the corporate ladder and almost finished with school, buying a house and such. Once funds come in, your show will all caps, be the one I donate to. Okay, sorry. Someday, I break into Swedish accent every once in a while. Someday it'll be nice to be coached by you, period. Until then, ! Warmest regards, Matthew R. Biggin. I love that last name. Thanks, dude. That really means a lot. It means a ton. I try to keep it authentic. I started podcasting at the very, 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 very beginning when people were trying to figure out how to podcast and what worked. And it was more of a diary. Everybody did kind of just a diary of what they were doing, and kind of like talking to a therapist. And I've kept that style, and that's where we are. That's where we are here today. And now they've gotten way more corporatized and ad-centric, big budget and stuff. And I just talk into my phone, and I used to talk just into a handheld MP3 recorder. And I just talk on my phone and just do my thing and share. I've always thought about doing, one episode is all about how to ride on the trainer, and another episode could be all about high fat. But there's too much, and instead of having one episode specifically about one thing, triathlon is going on all the time with everything. So what I do is I just mention little things here and there as I do them. And collectively, they make a show. And then over the period of a year, or half a year maybe, I cover everything. So you get little tidbits kind of here and there, because that's how real life works. And I'm a real triathlete, a real age grouper, where I'm training for Ironmans and I have a family and a full-time job. So I don't have the time to schedule. I've tried, and it doesn't work with my life. I don't have the time to do fancy shows with specific content and lots of planning. It's way easier for me just to grab the mic when I think of something to say it, and then append all into one file, and then we've got a show. Along with an interview, hopefully, every single time. Okay. Whew. Now, let's see. More donations. I got a bunch because I've been a little slow on the shows lately because I did the self-supported Ultraman recently, and it burned me out on just energy and triathlon, sorta, just like, man, I need to kind of take a break. So the shows have been coming out like every other week or every third week. So, but that's just a temporary thing. We go with the flow, and they'll start picking back up again pretty soon as we get training for Ironman Canada. There's Galveston Half Ironman coming up, Ironman Canada, and maybe at the beginning of the show I'll mention. I'm going to record that last because I throw news in the beginning of the show, and if I'm totally in on this one race, I'll mention it then. It's really, really, really big, and I don't want to say I'm in something until I know for sure that I am. But it will be uber cool. All right, other donations. James Von Hippel. It looks like hippie almost, but James Von Hippel is a new donor. Thank you, man. Richard Tragut. Spiros Fetsis. What's up, dude? From Libertyville, Illinois, I believe. Erica Dennison. Peter Salzen. What's up, dude? I got my eyes on you. I'm watching. Justice Phillips. Tyler Moyer. Hun Chu. Oh, man. How's Hun Chu doing? Richard Stewart. Houston Marsh. Let me move my screen and scroll. Oh, man. It's a good thing when you have enough donors that you have to scroll. Isn't that cool? Oh, man, that makes me feel good about what we're doing here. M. Webb, James Godek, Matthew Heinz. What's up, dude? Fighting Texas Aggie. Allison Frutos, Matthew Frois, and Brian Kemper, Todd Nelson, Jason Drury, Connor Sanders, Daniel Stark, Joseph Rogalski. What is up, my man? Jessica Woodruff and Dwayne Morin. Oh, Morin, that's a thing in the news. Dwayne Morin he was behind the escape. Oh, what was the name of that prison? It was a prison in Louisiana, and they had to stop the race because people complained. So many people complained and threatened the race directors that it was insensitive to hold a race near the prison, or maybe even on the prison grounds, even though they were raising money to give back to the prisoners to go into, into their education fund to buy books and degrees and stuff like that. So it's a weird world we live in, is all I can say. Okay, hold on. I'm drinking my red wine. And so you can help the show that way if you found this show helps you, and that's what I'm here for. I've been doing this long enough where I'm just here to help other people get along and do this kind of thing. It's actually totally doable, and it's fun. And another way to help out is to check out Hornet Juice, which is a amino acid powder. It's a protein powder that you mix in with your fluids and your carbs. Like we heard in the interview with Rob Gray, he adds in his own little protein stuff. Well, that's the exact same thing as Hornet Juice. You add a little bit of protein, except that Hornet Juice is the specific exact same blend that the Japanese killer hornet uses to have lots and lots of sex. I'm just kidding. To fly really, really far and metabolize body fat. And this stuff is really crazy. I remember the first time I ever used it, I was out on a long bike ride, and I was just off the front like crazy. It was really, really weird. And Tri Boomer was on that ride, and Greyhound was the name of another guy, and they were like, dude, what is up? And I'm like, I don't know, man. It's got tons of power. I just feel like I can keep riding and riding and riding. That was 2 bikes ago that I started using that stuff. And it really works. And you can get that on the right-hand side of the ZenTriathlon.com webpage. It's a nice little link. And you get something cool. You get something to show off to your friends. And you also help support the show all at the same time. After the Nate Diaz, Conor McGregor fight, somebody posted me on Twitter. Man, imagine if Nate Diaz was on Hornet Juice. Actually, somebody posted a picture of a torn up room, like a torn up apartment with a mattress all turned over and holes in the wall. And they said, this is what happens when endurance athletes use Hornet Juice for sex. It's a really funny picture. Let me see if I can scroll back and find it. And it looks like they lost their deposit on their apartment. Oh, man. Let's see. I talked with Eleanor Pell about sugar. I learned something Yeah, drunk triathlete on Twitter. Swim, also known as at swim bike drink, all one word, posted at me this really funny picture of a torn up room, and he says, damn, there goes my deposit. Hornet juice fueled endurance sex. There's nothing to be joked about. Triathletes have enough endurance as it is, and you get two of them in the bedroom together, and then you add in Hornet juice, and you're going to lose your deposit on your house, on your apartment. So don't do it. Do not buy Hornet juice if that's what you're going to use it for. It is not authorized for that. It's for sports only. Okay, I think that's all we're going to do for the show. 33 Shake. Don't forget ZenTri or ZenTriathlon. 33 Shake is the discount code. Let me go look for it. Let me see if I have it at the top. ZenTri 33 Shake. Capital Z, capital T, 33, capital S. ZenTri 33 Shake is a discount code, I think, for 15% off of 33 Shake stuff with chia seeds. I've been putting more chia seeds in my food, and I like it. It fills you up, man. And they're really high in soluble fiber, which is critical. People have found to be the key to weight loss is upping your soluble fiber and hydration. And chia seeds take a lot of water with them through your digestive tract. So that's pretty cool. And I think that is it. I want to also mention nothing else. Let's go ahead and wrap this show up so I can push this baby out. All right, that's it. Everybody stay safe out there. Work the uphills, cruise the downhills, and keep the rubber side down. Love you all. Out. Bang.